very much for coming. I'm Daoud, D-A-W-D, last name Walid, W-A-L-I-D, and I'm the Executive Director of the Michigan Chapter of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. And CARE is a branch of America's largest civil liberties and civil rights organizations for Muslims in America. I kind of messed that up, but this morning the Michigan Chapter of CARE is filing a civil rights complaint with the Michigan Department of Civil Rights relating to unbecoming conduct of a teacher at Henry Ford College. Our staff attorney, Amy DeCorey, is going to go over the specifics of the complaint, and then we will also hear from the victim, who is a student at Henry Ford Community College who suffered Islamophobic rhetoric from his professor. Let me first start off saying, before passing the microphone to our staff attorney, that we find it reprehensible that Henry Ford College has not taken this issue seriously in terms of the discrimination against our client. What's even more reprehensible about this situation is that Henry Ford College resides in Dearborn, Michigan, and a large percentage of the student population in Henry Ford College are American Muslims. In fact, Henry Ford College is one of the most densely populated colleges, percentage-wise, of Muslim student bodies. So to have a professor at the college who is creating a hostile learning environment for a Muslim student is completely reprehensible. What also is very disappointing about this case, that in terms of discrimination against our client, that the professor happens to be an African American, and we would expect that a person of color, a minority who understands the negative impact of racial discrimination and bias, especially in learning environments, would know better than to pick on and to bully an Arab American student who is an American Muslim. With that, I will turn the microphone over to Ms. DeCorey, who will go over the specifics of the complaint.
Spell your name.
Sure. Good morning. My name is Amy DeCorey, A-M-Y D-O-U-K-O-U-R-E, and I'm the staff attorney for Council on American Islamic Relations. Sitting next to me is our client, Ali Jaber. He is an honor roll student at Henry Ford Community College. He has a 3.7 grade point average and has really thrived at the university studying business. It is very unfortunate that on October 31st of this year, he attempted to engage his professor in a discourse about a subject matter that the professor is an expert on, which is business. The professor was waiting after class. There was 4 or 5 students milling around, packing up, waiting to speak with the professor. And our client, Mr. Jaber, approached the professor to ask him about a Facebook page that he was promoting for Lebanon that is a tourism page. It highlights a lot of very beautiful places in Lebanon for people to visit. And this business professor, instead of speaking with him like he had just spoken with a African American female student just before Mr. Jaber, instead, in front of his fellow students, started spewing very Islamophobic, xenophobic rhetoric about Lebanon, asking Mr. Jaber why he hates America, why would he support terrorism, doesn't Mr. Jaber know that all of the Muslims and all of the Arabs in Dearborn are on the government watch list, telling Mr. Jaber, I bet you can't fly, I bet you can't leave the United States, I bet if I checked your name with law enforcement right now, you'd be on a watch list. Sending money or supporting Lebanon is a sign of radicalism, basically implying that he had somehow been radicalized because he has this page for Lebanon. And he did all of this in front of other students. And in his parting shots, the professor told Mr. Jaber, I work for law enforcement. I find you to be very suspicious. I'm going to keep my eye on you. And Mr. Jaber took that as a threat. We have seen in this office many, many times where there have been FBI involvement for anonymous tips sent to the FBI by somebody who has no information about any illegal activity, but holds just Islamophobic views. Ironically, this morning I got a call from the FBI about such an incident where the FBI is admitting that people are giving them anonymous tips and then they're following them up. So subjecting someone like Mr. Jaber to law enforcement involvement because he's a student and he happens to enjoy tourism in Lebanon is reprehensible. And this act has severely affected Mr. Jaber's ability to attend Henry Ford Community College. He is no longer comfortable there. He filed a complaint with the Title IX office for discrimination with Henry Ford Community College about 2 weeks ago. And as of today's date, that teacher is still teaching on campus, still interacting with Muslim students, still has the ability to spew this hateful, despicable rhetoric. And in turn, our client, who is an honor roll student, has been forced into another business class with only 5 weeks left in the semester, without the ability, that teaches a different subject matter, from a different book, and he has suffered academically from this. And we are asking that Henry Ford Community College take this matter serious. This is a very, very serious matter, and we're asking them to do so. This is something that's happening more and more politically. There was in higher education. People think that higher education doesn't involve, involves more open-mindedness and involves positive discourse about other cultures and other religions. But this is the second incident in Michigan in the last month where a professor has spewed racist, Islamophobic tropes to a large audience of students, and we're asking that these professors not be allowed to influence academia and influence young minds in this way. So we're calling on Henry Ford Community College to reach out and do the right thing.
We'll have Mr. Jaber speak now. He can share some of his feelings about what took place to him that day and the negative effect. And then after that, we will avail ourselves to any questions.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to say that I have never experienced such an incident before in my life, and my grades are being affected. I'm being affected. I have emotional problems right now. I went and I seen my doctor, and he said I have a condition that's called post-traumatic stress, and this incident has caused a hostile learning environment for me. I can't focus anymore. I don't feel safe going to Henry Ford anymore. I don't feel safe interacting with anyone really anymore. I never really in my life thought that something like this would happen to me. I used to always hear on the news that racism is real, but I never really thought that I'd be a victim of this racism. As a professor who has all this experience and who's been at Henry Ford for a lot of years, I didn't expect that of him. I approached him with a business question. I was like, how can I promote my Facebook page? And I showed him my page, and I was like, it's not political. He immediately changed in attitude. He became aggressive, and that's for the first time I haven't seen him like this ever. Like, he instantly changed and became another person. He was like, you're on a watch list. If I run your name right now in a database, you'll come up as a red flag. You can't leave the United States. When was the last time you attempted to leave the United States? I work with law enforcement. You're being watched. Why would you send your uncle in Lebanon $200? You're supporting terrorism. You and your uncle are supporting terrorism, both of you. Who are you guys working with? Who are you guys working for? And he started to interrogate me, and I felt like I was in a FBI office, to be honest, because even the FBI has never approached me like that before. Like, I didn't do anything illegal or anything suspicious to deserve all that. All I wanted to do was get some business advice, you know. I've interacted with this professor in the past, and I've sent him some emails, and I even called him once my favorite instructor, and I have the emails to show that, because I looked up to him. I didn't realize that he's gonna do all this to me, you know, in the future. But it happened to me, and I guess now I'm the victim, and I just want Henry Ford College, you know, to take this matter seriously, because this has caused a lot of effect on me. I can no longer study like I used to. I'm a member of an honor society at this college. I don't feel like going there anymore, and my grades are going down, and this is crazy. I don't know what to do anymore.
While this confrontation was going on, or with you and this professor. Were you reacting? Were you saying to him, you know, are you kidding me? What are you saying to me? I mean, what were you saying and what were you feeling during that?
Yeah, I was like, Mr. Thomas, this is my page right here. I don't got nothing political. I don't got nothing against the U.S. Why would you, in front of 4 or 5 other students, why would you tell me what are your motives against America? Why am I being questioned in my country? Who are you to question me? You know, this is my country. Just like you were born here, I was born here too, Mr. Thomas. Who are you to question me? I mean, why? Who gave you the right to question me? You're a college instructor. You don't have the right to even question me like that. And then the next day when I emailed him and I sent him the email and I listed some of the things, some of the events that occurred, he was like, your email is too long. I didn't read it. If you have any questions, just ask me. So then I asked him, I was like, why did you incriminate me, interrogate me, harass me, and embarrass me in front of all these students? He was like, if you don't feel good taking advice from other people, I'm just trying to show you how things really are. You need to go seek some help. This just shows that he doesn't care about me, or doesn't care about any other students, because he told me to go seek help after I asked him why he did all that to me.
And the email that our client is talking about specifically states, I'm just asking you the hard questions. You have to understand how other Americans see you.
Yeah.
So basically saying, this is how America sees you, so you have to deal with it, and if you can't deal with it, you need to seek psychological help.
Yeah.
What exactly were you asking him to do when you approached him? What was the
I asked him 2 sentences. I was like, since you're a past HR manager and you have experience in nonprofit organizations, how can I promote my Facebook page? Or can I work with your nonprofit, partner with you, so we can start a nonprofit to help homeless families in need? And then that's when everything happened, and he changed his attitude and he became aggressive. And he just showed me that day how much people hate Lebanese Muslims.
And you never had any type of a adversarial relationship with him prior to this? You never
No.
any type of political discourse?
No. I called him my favorite instructor once. Like that's how much I looked up to him, and I looked up to the college.
Has this professor, is there a history? Has he done anything like this before to any other kind of students, or that you know?
At this time, we don't have any information to say whether or not he's ever done this before. And part of the reason for that is because Henry Ford, when the complaint was filed, has not taken any actions on the complaint to investigate. So if there were complaints filed against him before, it's likely that it could have been the same outcome with Henry Ford.
Yeah, I'd also like to make a comment regarding that. If there are any other students who have suffered discrimination at Henry Ford College, we'd like for them to contact us immediately. But part of the issue and the trauma that Muslim students go through in campuses all across the state and in fact America is that there's a type of fear that if they raise their concerns that there could be some sort of retribution or punishment, right? There could be academic retribution. There could be retribution as far as the school contacting law enforcement, including the FBI, on the students. So there's a real fear inside of our community about why sometimes students don't want to come forward and actually file complaints, even though they face discrimination, Islamophobia inside of learning environments. So that's a very important point, and hence this is why we expect Henry Ford to take this issue seriously. And besides disciplinary action that needs to take place against this professor, there needs to be campus-wide training for all administrators, all staffers, as well as all teachers, because this type of rhetoric should not be repeated in Henry Ford College, in the heart of Dearborn, Michigan, in the heart of Arab America.
You haven't sued the university?
No, we haven't. What we've done is we've filed a complaint for discrimination and harassment with the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. So we're hoping that the Michigan Department of Civil Rights will investigate, get down to the bottom of this matter, and that we can avoid any type of litigation in this matter.
Do you want to see the professor gone?
I don't believe that somebody who holds these type of views and is willing to humiliate a student and in front of other people and accuse them openly of something that they have no knowledge of, I don't think that person has any place in academia.
Has he been there long?
He's been there, I'm not sure how long, but he's been there more than 6 or 7 years. So he is a long-time professor.
What's been the most difficult part of this, what you've just gone through?
Just going out in public, interacting, going to school. Like, I don't feel safe anymore going to Henry Ford College. I can't study like I used to. I can't achieve the high grades that like I used to, and I can't accomplish my dream was to get a business administration degree in HR management. And I can't do that anymore because of what happened. This is going to cause emotional stress on me all my life because I never really thought people would see me like that. Just because I'm Lebanese Muslim, I didn't believe that.
How long have you attended the school?
About a year and a half.
Do you have any, was anyone videotaping this or anybody know?
There was a couple students in class, and they were looking at us, and one of them intervened, and she told the professor, this isn't fair that a person can't have a Facebook page about their country just because they're Lebanese Muslim. This isn't fair because he's automatically a terrorist because he's Muslim. Like, I didn't do anything that's suspicious or that promotes terrorism in any way. I was born here, and I love America just as I love Lebanon. There's no difference between them. So why did this professor make it seem like there is a difference?
All right.
Thank you very much for all of you coming this morning and covering this case. And I'm curious to see what Henry Ford College says and the professor himself to see what he would say if he would be on camera. At the least, he owes Mr. Jaber an apology. At the least, for his comments. At the least, and that's just the bare minimum of what needs to happen.
They've not responded yet.
They have not.
They have not responded.
You know what the makeup is in regards to student population?
We don't have numbers, but if you walk on campus, it's visibly obvious that the demographic over there is highly Arab Muslim.
How about instructors?
I mean, no, the instructors don't reflect the diversity of the student body. I mean, that's quite evident. We don't know the exact percentage of Muslims because it's obviously not census information or information that the university collects. But like my own son, he's at his second year at Henry Ford College, right? There are Muslims there on campus that aren't just Arab Americans, they're African Americans, Pakistani Americans, Bosnian Americans. There's all types of Muslims on that campus.
And we also know that a lot of the board members of HFCC that are on the Board of Education are Muslims from the Dearborn area. So it's really shocking that this has been met with complete silence and that nothing has been done, no steps have been taken as of yet to remediate the situation for the students on campus.
And what was this class?
It was Intro to Business.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.